Okay, welcome back to the SLT podcast. We have Miss Joy Mbakwe with
Oh,
us.
hello, hello.
Yes, thank you so much. We usually do a Q&A session. So what we do is in our parents WhatsApp group, More Education, we have a WhatsApp group. We alerted them that you'll be on the SLT podcast, and we asked them to throw some questions in. We got a few questions. So they're kind of ask them around the subjects in which you talk about. So kind of race, diversity, curriculum, and so on and so forth. So it would be great to kind of just a few questions from some parents. Just kind of we can go back and forth. How does that sound?
Of course, of course, of course.
Yeah. All right. So the first question is, how can parents talk to their children about race without it feeling like a burden? Because what I kind of find is many parents, especially black and kind of black parents, they worry about these conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a massive worry. So it'd be good to hear your perspective. I have my perspective, but like let's see what your thoughts are.
I think the earlier the better. I think treating it like the talk, like a sex talk,
Yeah.
is erroneous, in my opinion. I don't think you should sit down with a child and be like, listen, you're black, so it's all downhill from here. Like, that's not what we're trying to do, okay? What we're trying to do is, for example, my hair is in like an afro style. My toddler is looking at me. She looks at my hair, oh, mummy, I like your hair. My hair's like mummy's. Yes, it is like mummy's. I love your hair. I do her hair. How soft. Oh my God, we're using conditioner moisturizer. Your hair's an afro. Afros are beautiful. She's got a song called Africa is Beautiful that she started singing because I mentioned Africa. So the music that we listen to, it's not just nursery rhymes based in the UK. It's like African, Nigerian specifically, kind of nursery rhymes and how those sound. And just bringing the culture into the home around like positively affirming what it means to be black in the home. Now, depending on what age you're at, if I believe starting as early as possible is important. So my daughter knows now that she is brown.
How old is your
She's
daughter?
2.
Oh wow. Okay.
She's 2, but she came home with that. She did.
Okay.
I didn't tell her that she was black.
Yeah.
And my dad was heartbroken that she found out so early
Oh, wow.
because he understands the burden of blackness, but she doesn't. She doesn't, and so then we can start now to affirm that. Look at your skin. Look how beautiful it is. Brown. Yes, everybody has different color skin. As she grows, we will probably use books as an entry point
Yes.
to discussion.
Yes.
So I think fiction is a wonderful way of exploring the world in a safe way.
Yep.
So I would not say to my black son, you are going to be stopped and searched. You need to be ready. Da-da-da. But I might find a book about a boy who is stopped and searched or has interactions with the police.
And then use that as almost
And
a
we
discussion
discuss it.
point. Yeah.
We just discuss it. Whoa, you know, when you get to certain, sometimes the police do stop and search people. They're trying to keep people safe. This is what can happen. But you know what? And that's how we have the discussion. We just try and keep it as light as possible.
Yeah. I think
And get ahead of it.
I agree with you. I think it's like imaging around the house as well.
Yes.
Because there were certain. It's interesting in like Caribbean homes. There were certain images that were like almost like these stock pictures that were put
Staples,
up.
yeah.
And I remember one of, and anybody can comment if you remember. There was one of like a black woman, and she had a kind of child wrapped around her back, and that was a kind of staple image of mother and child and kind of blackness. So I think images and posters are very, very important. Having certain art, African art,
Yes.
in and around the home is very, very important. And I love what you said about books as well. Making sure that you have books. I don't want to get it wrong because I remember big up Liz Pemberton. I remember when I spoke to her, I think it's My Hair. Oh gosh, this is gonna wind me up now. A book about hair. It was a book about hair. She's probably gonna comment, or she's probably gonna cuss me. I watch your podcast and you got it wrong. But like, yeah, books that empower and that just show kind of images. So they're really conscious decisions about the images that you're showing your child.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
When I'm doing my child's hair, showing her books with hair that looks like her. So it's just, it's very normal for her to see herself in a book. That's not bizarre. Whereas I didn't see myself in a book until Noughts and Crosses when I was like 11 or 12.
Wow.
I didn't see it just wasn't important. Just didn't know. And then when I realised Seffi was black, I said, my goodness.
Have you seen the there's a I think there's an open air play.
I can't go.
Oh yeah.
It's just too precious. Like I didn't even watch the show when they put it out. I'm very purist in that way. I don't. If it wasn't a sacred, that book is sacred to me because that's when I had my awakening in terms of like I am not only am I black, but I am worth being read about. Whoa, I didn't know that until that point. So I don't want anything.
You do not want it to be infected by the adaptation,
by the view, the lens through which you want to read it through. No. I am the lens, the only lens. So yeah.
Beautiful. No, I love that. So, I'm here trying to remember books to recommend. Are there any books that you? I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go on Google because I know there's certain people. I'm thinking of so many people. I've got my friend Jamal. He has an amazing book, but I cannot remember the title of his book. So, while I'm detracting and trying to remember, are there any books that you can recommend?
About what specifically?
Just kind of about identity from a young perspective.
I don't have them in my. Before I was in charge of the literacy curriculum and doing all the library work, so I had those books in my mind. But I don't have them in my mind anymore. To be honest, I'm reading about other things. I'm so sorry, I don't have them in my mind. But like, I'm happy to type over it.
I've remembered it.
Go on.
Big up Jamal Carney, my brethren. You've got Olu's Teacher. That's a brilliant, really lovely book by a friend of mine. I also remember my brother, he also has a range of books from kind of little scholars. So it's around travelling to Africa, travelling to the Caribbean.
Lovely.
I think that's also important. If you can, because it is expensive, going back home. I know for myself, that's something that was very pivotal in helping me understand kind of race and identity and giving me that culture. I was fortunate enough. I went home to Jamaica fairly often. And yeah, that really helped to shape.
It grounds you.
Yeah.
It grounds you.
Yeah.
You stop being a stranger in your body. I just think that's what it does. You stop being like, it creates a resistance to the messages that you're receiving every day about who you are and what you can become, because you go there and you're like, oh no, this is who I am. Yeah. And it just sits in your psyche. This is who I am.
And being part of that community as well, because like I'm sitting back, I'm thinking my shopkeeper was black. The policemen were black because I'm in Jamaica, so like 90 when we go to like on important things to sit in an office and we had to speak to like, I don't know, my dad's lawyer, he was black, the bank manager was black, everybody. So my understanding of what are the limitations, and we spoke about it in our last podcast, I didn't have those because everybody I knew, the doctor, it wasn't that, if that makes sense.
It's powerful. It's privilege.
100%. Okay, all right. Second question. What should this is a big one. I get this a lot from parents.
Okay.
I get this a lot from parents. What should parents look for in a school to know if it has genuine values of diversity and it's not just performative?
The people that they hire. You look around. If there are significant number of people of color in the building who have power, they are teachers, they are leaders, then generally speaking, it's a safe place. We have to just understand that most institutions are not that safe for people of color statistically. That's just the truth. Yeah. But some are safer than others. If you go, a lot of parents, what I've found is they go to schools and they say to themselves, if it's diverse in terms of the cohort, the children, then it's diverse. No, that is not what makes it diverse. And I'm slowing down my speech because it's really important that we recognize that who you let sit in the chair and who is allowed to be controlled by you is very different than who you allow yourself to be led by. Okay? And so if the head of department is a black woman or members of SLT are black men, then we're having real conversations about diversity, inclusion, and equity. But if the only people who are, people of color are the children or the people who take care of the site in some way.
Yeah, or the LAs kind of. Yeah.
Right, the teaching assistants, things like that. Generally speaking, it may not be the safest place in terms of like diversity and inclusion. And
you've used this word 3 times, so I'm going to pick up on it. Safe. What do you mean by safe?
I mean psychologically safe. And I was listening to a book on the way here about like how this idea of safetyism and how our ideas of safe, it's called the concept creep. So before, decades ago, when we talk about safe, we'd only be speaking about what physical
Yes,
safety.
yep.
But now safety is like, it can be emotional safety, it can be psychological safety. And I believe that in most schools, your child is not going to come into any physical harm. It's quite unlikely.
Yep.
Most children do not get into fights. They're not hurt by their teachers. It just doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
However, the psychological warfare that's being enacted every single day through who is being sent out, who's being called upon, who's not being called, who's being given the task to do, who's not being given the task to do, who's allowed to go on trips. These are the kind of messages that children are receiving every single day about who they are, where they belong, and what power is accessible to them. And that's what I mean by being safe.
Yeah, I love that. And I always remember I was in a school, all boys Catholic school. I'm not going to say where it is because it will pinpoint where it is, but it was I think it was one of my favorite schools to teach in. Yeah, and you had a lot of, it had that structure where you had a lot of black students, but the structure of the school, you didn't have that structure in the school. And I was one of the few black teachers who was there. And I remember students saying to me, "Oh, like, you remind me of my uncle. Like, you're just like my uncle."
Yeah,
and I kind of drilled down into that. Like, what do you mean? Do I look like your uncle? I was like, "Oh, is your uncle a strikingly good-looking male in his 30s?" That was at the time. I was in my 30s. Yeah. And they were like, no. So what it was is, the kids use the word aura now. Yeah, like you're just your presence, that feeling. And we drilled, and he felt safe.
Right.
He felt safe. So even when he was being reprimanded, so even when I was I did it in a way that was familiar and safe to him, and he was therefore able to respond in a way that wouldn't have been perceived, or knew I wasn't going to perceive it as negative. Where in other circumstance, sometimes children aren't used to how you're messaging things and how you're delivering things. As I say, 90% of communication is non-verbal. And if a child can kind of pick up that, yes, you're being harsh, yes, but it's in a space of love, and this is a dynamic that I understand, you're 100% right. I get you. It creates that safety, and it is very, very important, because if you're not safe, you can't learn.
No, you can't do it. You can't thrive. I remember when I saw Jordan, who I miss so dearly. I wish he was here today.
Yes.
When I would see him interact with the black boys.
Yes.
At the school we worked in together, I remember just feeling to myself, there's something he gives them I can never give them. But that's a good thing. That's a great thing. We should have more of him. And that doesn't mean there should be less of me, because we're in this really weird time where if I say that we should have black women in school, they say, "Oh, what about this person? What about?" No. It's okay for me to say we should have more black male leaders in school because of what they can give to the boys.
Do you know
and what they can give to the girls sometimes. But what they can give to the boys. I'm speaking specifically about what they give. Because I can give a lot of things to the girls that he cannot give.
I'm going to challenge you on that slightly, because...
All right. Go again.
Oh, not again. No, because... And I'm going to challenge you for your own point, because I think it's very much about the type of leader you have in the school, the type of person. So you can... And I think you said it in our previous pod, where you said, yeah, you may have somebody who's a black person, who's a black male. Yeah. But we spoke about... There are very specific... I've worked in schools where you've had black males, but not all of us are of... on the same agenda.
Of course.
Not all of us have the same intentions for the children.
Of course.
And we have to be aware and highlight those skills as well. And I'm glad you also said the impact that they can have on the girls, because I think me being, I say it all the time.
Like, girl, though, you love it, don't you?
Yeah. I'm a bit of a softie. And seeing that interaction, that dynamic, and that positive interaction between a black male and a young black female, and developing a positive relationship there is so important, because oftentimes that may be the first positive, real interaction they've had with an adult male. So it's important that happens.
Because of time, I'm not going to challenge too much. On what you've said there.
You've got all the time in the world.
Because I do think that this idea that it might be the first positive is kind of, as you accuse me of, like really moving into dangerous territory where stereotypes are concerned. I'm not sure if that's absolutely true, but I do think that with a black man that is not related to her is even more important. And her building this idea of solidarity and community and love outside of my home. I think we just need to add a bit of
Joy, it's okay. I agree with you. You have caveated my point perfectly.
But in terms of what Jordan gave, I want to just expand it slightly because it's the safety he gave them,
Yeah.
but also like he just saw them. It was just like, oh, sir, like this your coat. What you think you're nice? That's how. And he's like, yeah, of course I'm. I just.
He does think he's nice.
He does think he's nice. He definitely thinks he's nice. I'm joking. Love you, Jordan. Love you, Jordan. But yeah, I remember that interaction and just being like, we need you. We need more of you here.
Yeah.
And so those moments, I remember once I was asked by a parent, like, why should I send my son to this school? And I was like, look around you. Like, you can see what you might want your son to become is right in front of him.
Yeah, and you could point to different figures from all the way up there to all the way down there.
All the way up.
Yeah, and across.
Chef is black, but also the assistant principal is black.
Yeah.
And so now whatever he wants to become,
the manager of data is black. Yeah. Like we've got a lot of them. Yeah, 100%. No, it's very, very, very true. Joy, it's okay to caveat me. It's okay to disagree.
You're just saying that so you can keep disagreeing with me online. By the way,
no. Yeah. So just to, I think Joy's got me off a bit because. What did I say? I said off air. I said I agree with 70% of what you say. She was like, only 70%. I said I'm not going to agree with everything.
But I said to him, most of it. It's rare that he says something that I don't agree with. So when you said, I think 70% is quite low.
But you've got to look at it like this, yeah. You release a video every day, yeah. I know you release 3 to 4 videos a week. Okay. Yeah? I release like a video a month.
Sure.
So. Therefore, if we're going to go into our ratios,
fair.
You're more than likely to agree with the 1 or 2 Don't get me wrong, I'm going to up my content. Yeah,
you must.
I'm going to up my
one
content.
1 month.
But yeah. No, I am gonna challenge, and I think it's important. And same way you just challenged me just there, you're 100% right because it's about building that safety with a male who's not necessarily a family member or outside. It is so key. So key. So yeah, 100%. That's why we're gonna get Joy back on because, we're gonna. But it's all love always. So just a final question is: how can parents support what you may call like a? I know you've led. Let me get the right wording. Like, I don't like the term race curriculum, but a curriculum that is rich with a diverse curriculum. How can that be supported at home? You've kind of touched on it for kind of younger, but maybe like Key Stage 3, because I know you're ahead of Key Stage 3,
interesting. Key
Stage 4. A lot of parents ask me with my more education hat on, like, how do we get kids to read? How do we, how, not just reading, and I've got a bit to add for this, do you think that can be supported at home?
I think to the reading part specifically, I do think you should also ask yourself how much you read.
Yeah.
I think parents are forgetting that absolutely crucial point of, if I do not read, my child also may not want to read.
Yeah.
I'm being soft. They will also not read. Yeah. Okay? And so yesterday I went out with my 2-year-old and she wanted to go into the toy shop and I said, there's nothing in there for us, to be honest. And I was gonna take her. I know. Soft daddy is like, oh my God. The reason I said, I just thought to myself, we could go in there and I could buy her a toy and then she would lose interest in it. Yeah. I said, you know what? But then the bookshop was next to us. I said, let's go in there. And she was grabbing books off the shelf. She must have thought it was a library. She said, Mummy, sit down, let's read here. I was thinking, these people are going to think I don't have money to buy books. But we sat there and we read 3 different books together. We had a really, really lovely time. And I think if you really want your child to be a reader, you need to be seen reading and you need to read with them from a really young age.
Agreed.
In terms of like a race curriculum, I need to really understand what I'm trying to say when I communicate the race curriculum. I think it's about empowering our young black children. That's the word I was going to use. I think your parents had a race curriculum. You wouldn't have called it that. They just made sure they were very intentional about where you went on holiday, who you saw in the house, what you saw in the house, what you were reading. And that is the intentionality that I'm requiring from myself and from other parents. What is your child reading? What are they watching? What are you saying to them? How are you speaking about race? Who are they being kind of exposed to? Where do you go on holiday? What do you say about going back home? Because in my context, sometimes back home it sounded like stress. It sounded like stress. Like, do you like it or not? Do you like home or do you not like home? How frequently can you afford to go back home? If you can't go back home, what does your community look like? What church have you decided to go to? What kind of mosque do you go to? These are the kind of decisions that we can make that build. A curriculum can sometimes sound quite dogged, quite kind of rigid and inaccessible. No, it's just, how do we do life here that prepares our children for life beyond these 4 walls so that they can be empowered and be strong and be bold?
No, I agree. Something I speak about a lot as well, and social media has its positives and negatives. One of its positives is exposing so many events and things that are happening, and I think it's important that parents engage with these
Yes.
events. So
Yes.
it's I don't know, I follow them on TikTok, and they speak about every month they show you all of the plays that are
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same.
like, and you'll realize, oh my god,
Oh
there
my,
are so many,
exactly.
so many
Yeah.
brilliant productions. I remember my mum used to take a group of, well, even when I was 5, we always used to go to a pantomime, but it was all like a black pantomime.
Wow.
And once we'd kind of progressed beyond the point of taking us to a pantomime, she would take groups of children every Christmas to, I think at the time it was kind of Stratford East, and you'd see a diverse cast of people in a pantomime, and she would do that religiously every Christmas. It wasn't us. It was like maybe friends, such. She'd always do things like that, and I think it's about. She always kind of had this kind. I don't know, because also she didn't have social media. This active antenna of
She knows
things culturally that will happen that she could take her children to enrich. So it'd be exhibitions, things that are happening at the Tate, things that are happening locally, things at the local library. There are so many different things that are happening, and we now have social media. We've even got things like Eventbrite, where you can type in like children cultural and events will come up. So sometimes I do struggle with this. But again, you did highlight to me, I was privileged. I realised with the type of mum and parents I had, I was privileged, but we have access to so much information now.
But it's a consciousness. I think your mother was aware that by choosing to live here, she was choosing a life of resistance. And she was aware that she needed to resist. And she did that. Yeah. And her resistance, that's what it was. It's a life of resistance. Where do we go away? What books are we reading? What food are we eating? You know, what cultural events do we feel are important? She's resisting. The problem that you are kind of highlighting here is a lack of consciousness. Yeah. So when you are born here, you're born into the system. So you don't know that you need to still actively resist. Yeah. You don't realize that. And then you just have these kind of all of these random events in your life that you don't really understand why they're happening to you. And then it comes upon you when you're a teenager, like, oh, I'm black. What does this mean for me? And then all of your friends are discovering at the same time, and you're just sharing trauma, really, because nobody's got a clear sense of direction. No one's got any answers. And I think that if more of us were raising our children in this kind of conscious way, in this empowering way, in this kind of, we are resisting the narratives that exist about us outside of the home and creating our own from the outset, then this awakening doesn't need to happen in the teenagehood. It's just, I am black, I'm proud of what my colour, I stand on the shoulders of my ancestors, I carry a rich history. Some people, they start our history with slavery. That's what they do in the schools. I was in year 9 watching Roots, like, whoa. That's the first time I saw myself in the classroom. I said, my goodness, what have I...
This is your school
This is my school experience. That's not even my history in a certain... You know what I mean? That's not what happened to me, but I internalized it. Why did they expose me to that when I was 14 years old? How violent of them, first and foremost. Violence. And so it's like, as a parent, knowing this, if you've heard me say this at 14, this is what your child might be exposed to, what are you going to do when your child is 4 years old?
Yeah. How are you going to be able to prepare them for when that does happen?
When that does happen,
they can quickly say, "Oh yes, this is a." I'm so glad you showed me this snapshot of probably the most painful part of our history.
Okay.
However, if we go to the Nile-Valley civilization, if we look at the kingdoms of Ghana and Luba and Duba,
and the teacher will be looking at them and say, "Oh, thank you." Exactly. Now the teacher has to do their work and make sure they don't do that kind of thing again. And then that child is gonna go home and say, "Mummy, guess what happened? They did this, and I said this. Yeah. Oh, I'm writing a memo about that." Yeah. I don't mind escalating. And this is the way that you build your children up. We could talk all day about this. I've got so much to say about this one.
That's why we're on a podcast. This is the whole point. Keep
talking. It's that we talk and then it's like, oh, time's run out now, Joy. No. Joy, it's been great having you. Need a part 2.
No, nothing like that. No, but just to summarize, I think it's, and you've highlighted this to me several times, and it has been highlighted to me by most particularly my wife, who speaks.
I think I'd get on with her,
yeah, because she's nuff too. Anyway, but I love her.
My kind of woman.
She's amazing. My privilege. She does highlight to me, and because like yeah, like I didn't, and my son as well. I didn't grow up in the most salubrious environment, and so on and so forth. And I don't look at it, but the richness of the information that I was given by all of those around me, like my
Word.
mum, my dad, my brother, all of those people, where it was like what was standard in the home wasn't outside, and I'm realizing the privilege, and it's about thinking how, not why don't you know, how can I inform you and support you to be confident parents, to be able
Exactly.
to engage. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no shaming here. There's no. Sometimes I do share. It sounds a bit shamey online, but like one on one, there's no shame. One on one to the masses, it's just you get what you get. But one on one, there's no shame. We're in community,
Yeah.
right? When I speak to Black parents, when I speak to African parents, it's no Caribbean parents. No, we are even in the schools. Take my number all the time.
Yeah.
Just take my number. What is it?
Yeah.
Take my number. I don't mind. Email me.
Yeah.
If he's not texting me, if he's not coming to school, I'll. Do you know what I mean? I'll get involved. I'll call you. I don't mind doing that work, and this is the power. I know we're kind of veering off here, but this is the power of like allies, Black leaders in the classroom, in schools. Is that we understand we're doing village work. Me coming on this podcast is village work. I'm doing the work of being part of the village. I'm speaking to parents. There's no fee. This is what you have access to. Speak to me. Speak to the people that you have access to. Like, this is the work you're doing.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you. Those were our three parent questions. I think we've answered those brilliantly. Joy, it has been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
You know you'll be on again. Hopefully, we won't be the 100th podcast. I have to. I was referring something in a previous pod where Joy said we were the 5th podcast she's been on, and I know I've actively reached out, but she is an amazingly she is a busy, and that is a good thing, and I hope you continue to get your message out there. As I said offline, and I'll say it online, you have a powerful voice.
Thank you.
You're touching on subjects that need to be discussed, and thank you very much for taking the time out to come on, and we'll have you on again.
Can't wait. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right.